And maybe you're wanting to touch on this a little bit when you grow up, and not just in agriculture, but I think in the society that we have grown up with, rurally, Midwest, you have this kind of sense of what a man is supposed to be, right? And it's supposed to be someone who doesn't show their feelings and doesn't talk about them and buries them deep down and just deals with them in a way that we know now is unhealthy. And for me, it was dealing with it with alcohol and other things that were very unhealthy for me. And being able to break that mold a little bit and being like, especially right around here, especially locally here, one of the first people out of the gate talking about that, especially, like I said, especially locally, that's scary. And you have to get really comfortable with yourself and really comfortable with your story really fast.
Yeah. And it's a weird thing because if your mental health is the part of your identity, it's like a weird thing to be, right? Like nobody wants to be labeled the schizophrenic, but at the same time, nobody wants to be labeled as the person that is bringing up their bullshit or their problems as somebody that to capitalize off of it, right? We all know those people on Facebook or whatever, where their problems are just kind of shoved in your face.
Yeah, and that was probably the part of it I struggled with the most, Vance. It is not wanting to be someone who is looking to profit off of their own misfortunes. And there's a fine line there. There really is. And because I get scared that it turns into a popularity contest sometimes, as far as sharing your story. And I don't want this to be misinterpreted, because I think it's really important for people to share their stories in regards to mental health. But I think we have to be really careful as to, like I said, not make it be a popularity contest and, I've struggled this much or someone else has struggled. We don't want it to be a one-up game. We want it to be a community where we share things. And, it can kind of toe that line a little close sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with the open conversations about mental health. Because I definitely know what you're talking about wanting to be open with whether there was something that you had traumatic in your life that if you had only known other people went through this too, then that's like helping people. I definitely 100% believe in that. My wife and I couldn't get pregnant for a really long time, and we went through hell on that. And I want to tell people about it because I do not want other people to experience that without having known, hey, this can happen to you. But the flip side of that is, like you said, it appears to me that there are people that are cynically going out and raising money on the idea that we should be talking about our problems all the time. And so that makes me really uncomfortable about the mental health conversation going on in the public today.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, that was a big barrier to me getting started, because I didn't want to be one of those people. I didn't want to be someone who, like you say, is profiting off of their own misfortune and trying to make a buck off of that. And I don't want to be that. That's for sure. And I think the people who really are reaching folks and really making a difference, they aren't that.
Yeah, I would say, like, your conversation with Jerod McDaniel was one that was very, very interesting to me, because it felt like the sharing that you guys talked about is what made me really interested in what you're doing, is that you were sharing it as like a way to be like, yeah, this is the way that I understand the world. I'm a primate out here with all my vices and the things I want to get better at. And, this is the way that I've experienced bad things that have gone on. And then the other primate is able to say to him, like, yeah, I agree with that. That also, I see the same thing that you do, because shared understanding is like the foundation of what it is to be human. So there's definitely a space for people to be talking about, this is the way I dealt with anxiety and the problems in my life. I 100% think that you're feeling that.
Well, thanks. That's what I try to make it be. I try to make it be real conversations between real people. And, that's a good thing about agriculture when you're focusing on agriculture is, there's not a whole lot of room for a whole lot of BS. And people, for the most part, if they can smell a bullshit artist really fast. And I try my hardest to never be one of those, because I want to be real. I take pride in the fact that my podcast, when you hear me talk on my podcast, that's what it's like talking to me in real life. I mean, that is exactly, I make it as real and just like a normal conversation I would have with someone. I fail at that sometimes, but I try my hardest to make it like that.
Thanks for checking out this podcast short. If you like this interview, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell so you always get notified about this podcast. And if you're really interested in conversations like this, you may want to consider joining the Articulate Ventures Network. To find out more, go to network.articulate.ventures.